Namaskaram, welcome to PGurus. I'm your host JK. We know Chola Kingdom of Tamil Nadu, and one of their strengths had been how they have actually performed as a navy. The navy had been very, very strong. The same also goes to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj as well. He had an amazing commander who was holding the navy, and they had been very, very successful. Now just fast forward, what do we have now? We do not have many ports that we can boast about. Right now, there's a process undergoing in Kerala. There's a port that is coming up, Vizhinjam port, and we see a lot of resistance, and particularly backed by a religious group. I don't want to name it, but I guess you all would have seen that, what the protest has happened, what kind of protest has happened, and how people have been trying to stop the progress or development of Vizhinjam port. And again, just going back for a few years, we could see earlier there used to be some kind of a protest happening in Tamil Nadu most of the time. I guess it used to be epicenter of protest. Modi ji used to call these protesters as andolanjeevis earlier, and we know what they have done in trying to stop bills like CAA, bills like the farm bills, and they have been successful. I guess the success has kind of encouraged them to do more. This was between 2011 and 2020, rather 2016 to 2021, there had been a lot of protests in and around Tamil Nadu. Just to name a few of them, the 8-lane Salem-Chennai highway was protested and stopped, and then there was a huge protest to stop a nuclear plant to generate electricity in Kudankulam. The reasons that were given for Kudankulam were it might cause damages to the sea life, and it might be a problem. But what do we see now? We do not hear any complaints or anything that has happened since then, right? The Kudankulam project has been successfully implemented and it is ongoing, and it is generating electricity. And at one point of time, Tamil Nadu used to give electricity to other states as well. They were kind of generating excess power. Right now the scene has changed, but just to highlight what has happened earlier. Right now, very similar to Vizhinjam port, we see that protests are happening in Tamil Nadu, especially near Chennai, for Kattupalli port. The port has been in, it's a functioning port for some time. It was earlier with L&T and handed over, or it changed hands in 2018. Adani bought the port. So Adani bought the port and they are trying to expand. Since the time they have announced the expansion, protesters have jumped into it. I guess they could see some blood. They could feel that they can derive some blood out of this, or blood, when I say it could be money, kind of value that they see that they can earn some money out of this, and started protesting. The reasons that were given to protest this particular port is they feel the sea may erode faster and the sea life might come under danger. Both of this, as I told you earlier, in Kudankulam, we found that nothing drastic has happened since the project has taken off, and we feel the same might happen to Adani port as well, Kattupalli port to be precise. What they have done, rather, as I told earlier, it is a functioning port and they are trying to expand. Right now the port is around 25 acres and they want to expand it around 300 acres. So roughly 1,500 times, and still I guess it holds good. And the areas, adjacent areas, the local people find it, maybe due to hearsay, they started joining the protesters, and they feel that their livelihood might get affected, as well as because most of them are fishermen and they fish in the sea, and they feel that this might have an impact. Contrary to that, what we see is this port, once it becomes functional, the entire port, the 330 acres port, once it becomes functional, it can guarantee jobs of over 15,000, direct or indirect. And the port can also be one of the largest ports in India. It can have almost many million metric tons per annum is what they envisage. And if Vizhinjam as well as Kattupalli becomes functional, it could be very similar to what we had during Chola's time or 𝙤𝙧𝙤𝙪𝙥𝙥 𝙤𝙬𝙗𝑆𝑖𝑉𝑎𝑗�ि time, that we will be very, very successful, or we will have a very strong Navy base. Very recently, maybe a couple of years back, we see that the Indian government changed the insignia, right? Earlier it used to have the King's Cross, right now it has been taken away, and right now we have our very own emblem in the Navy. So things are changing. There is an Atmanirbhar Bharat happening, and we want to be self-sufficient, and these ports, Adani ports, rather Kattupalli and Vizhinjam, can help India to achieve the target of the third largest economy by 2027, right? So Adani port is essentially can help India to achieve its objective. We have this habit of comparing ourselves with other countries, and one such country, at least for people in Tamil Nadu, we find that we often compare ourselves with Singapore. We find this in some movies as well. Just to give a comparison, proper comparison, Singapore, the size of Singapore is pretty similar, rather kind of lesser than what Chennai is. So Chennai is around 1,100 square kilometer and Singapore is just 728 square kilometer. But why does Singapore, even a small, though it's small in size, it's a country, and why is it so successful, or why is it a superpower, or rather economically very strong, is because of their port. Though tourism is one of their primary revenue generating industry, but ports are the revenue generating industry for Singapore, and it makes a lot of money because every ship that has to go through has to cross Singapore, and it is a major port. At least in Southeast Asia, Singapore is considered to be one of the major ports, and they build their country out of port. India can do the same. Not even size of, it's not even size of Chennai, Singapore. If Singapore can do that, India can do far better. Once Vizhinjam and Kattupalli becomes functional, active, we believe India can also generate a lot of revenues. It can generate a lot of work. It can provide a lot of jobs to the locals. And all these myths, all these rumors about the sea erosion, the fast sea erosion, as well as sea lives in danger can be addressed. I guess it has to be addressed. At least people have to be made aware of what actually can happen, right? So we have to at least ensure the locals understand how good this project would be for them. Once again, if we could see this Kattupalli port can give access. Earlier we find a similar protests were conducted to stop or oppose establishment, or earlier we find a similar protest was conducted to oppose setting up of a tire manufacturing unit of Michelin in Tamil Nadu. The protest has happened, the same reasons were given, that the sea life might be in danger, but later the factory has been set up and it is running successfully without any problem to the sea life or the local people. We believe similar thing can happen in Kattupalli port project as well, that all these hearsays and rumors and fake news about this port will not hold good once this port becomes active and functional. So this project, right, so It's been active. So Adani bought it from L&T during 2018 and the expansion plan started. By then, the party that is ruling now used to oppose this project earlier, and right now they are conducting a public opinion meeting very soon, though it was scheduled tomorrow. It has been pushed to September, but we believe the ruling party feels that this can add a lot of revenue to the state's exchequer, and it could be very helpful for the state overall's economic growth. Though we find the state, or rather the government, is in a fix with regards to how they can handle the task issue, or even otherwise, this port can actually add value to the state economy. So we believe this could be the port, the Adani port. They are actually having ports in Israel. Recently, they set up their port in Israel, which is doing very good, as well as in Sri Lanka. We believe Navy could be a major security problem in future, because Chinese already have their port set up in Sri Lanka, and most of the neighboring countries for us are not in good terms. So safeguarding our ports or strengthening our ports could be the answer. And I believe the Vizhinjam as well as Kattupalli can add value to it. We as in our country are trying to build the port, and we know that though Gujarat, we see that Gujarat is having a very successfully implemented port, and they generate a lot of revenues, due to which they don't have to depend upon the money that comes out of the liquor. Very similar to Mumbai is doing extremely well, and we see that the ports in Andhra Pradesh, the Visakhapatnam ports, are absolutely doing good. So this fear mongering has to stop for this country to become economically powerful. As Modi ji said that he wants to make this country third largest economic power by 2027, and all these projects that they are planning to implement should become functional to achieve that dream. If you like this video, please do click the like button, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.